story, shed like embers that ignite, turning scars to a future burning bright. Healing huddles with Dez and Meisha groove. Feel the rhythm, let your pain make a move. Share your story, let your heart find its beat. Turn your passion into fire, feel complete.
Hi everyone, welcome to Healing Huddles. This is our very first episode. Healing Huddles is actually one of the segments that I'll be doing on our Healing Home Movement channel. And Healing Home Movement is something that I birthed out of my breast cancer diagnosis journey. And I'm so excited about this. It's been a long time coming. I have my co-host here with me.
Meisha Dalton, yes.
Meisha Dalton, and Meisha has gone through her own healing journey as well that she'll be sharing today. But a little bit about what Healing Home Movement is. So I just believe that the Creator has charged me with helping to raise the vibration on this planet. And in order to raise the vibration, we have to heal home. Home to me is our bodies. It's mind, body, spirit, plus our relationships with our friends and family, plus our earth. That's all home. It's all home. But in order to heal our relationships and heal our earth, it really starts with us first, ourselves. So we are going to be taking deep dives. We're going to be having some tough conversations that I believe that we should be having.
Absolutely.
Like in this day and time, right?
Absolutely.
We should be having some of these conversations and just get the community to start like just talking about these issues and because that's what's going to heal us, right? It's going to heal me, Meisha, our relationships, and our earth ultimately, right? I was diagnosed July 2022. And I went through a whole journey up until surgery I had June 2023. But before I get into that, I'm going to let Meisha tell us about her journey, what she experienced almost like over 13 years ago.
Yes, long time.
So, yeah.
Yes, so hello everybody. Yes, I am Meisha Dalton, holistic health coach, herbalist, and I too have a story, as we all do. 13 years ago, I was told that I had an autoimmune disease. Actually, I spent a year with all of these symptoms that the doctors could not figure out. Fast forward, they thought I had they said I had an autoimmune disease that looked like lupus. I don't like to claim it, so I say they said, not what I say, but what they said.
I
right?
did that my whole journey. I was just like,
Yeah,
it's a diagnosis.
It's just a diagnosis that they said.
Right.
So, and I did not want to take all the medicine. A lot of the medicines that they wanted to give me would have all of these different side effects. So I didn't want to do that. So I made a decision to go the natural way to heal my body, the natural way through nutrition, through activity, through movement, through rest, stress management. So we'll talk about all of that today.
Yes. And I'm going to let you go ahead. I'm going to let you go first. And I'll tell mine at the end. I'm going to let you go ahead and dive into it.
Okay, awesome. So, so about 13 years ago, I started to develop a lot of weird symptoms from head to toe. Fast forward, went to the doctor. They told me I had an autoimmune disease. I actually was going to a cancer doctor, because they thought that it may have bone cancer.
Oh, wow.
So it was a cancer doctor that told me I had lupus at that time. And I was scared because I do know that lupus, or any of your organs can attack itself, or any of your tissue can attack itself, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your musculoskeletal system, your nervous system, your brain, everything. So it's pretty scary.
Yeah. Was there anybody with you during that time when you found out?
Nope. I was by myself and the doctor. But the interesting thing is, and this is just part of the testimony, but I remember my last visit there, I was in tears. My doctor told me, he said, He said, you shall live and not die. He said, one day you're going to see your grandchildren. Now, mind you, at the time, my daughter was only about 14 years old. So I'm thinking, I don't see grandchildren right now. Fast forward, she's 29 and I have a 7-year-old granddaughter. So I did live to see my grandchildren. So, but the main thing is just understanding your why. Because once you understand your why and why you need to fight, the how becomes easy. And for me, my why was my youngest son. I was walking him to school and I collapsed. My legs just gave out and I collapsed on the floor. So I fell, he fell, the book bag fell, and all the kids were laughing. And I looked at my son and he just reached down. He's like, Mommy, I'll help you up. And that.
So wait a minute, what were the adults doing?
Oh, the adults were laughing.
The adults were laughing?
The adults were like, oh my gosh, doing that. The teachers.
They didn't even come over to help you?
Mm-mm. My 5-year-old little boy.
That's why we got to heal home, y'all.
My 5-year-old little boy.
That's why we got to heal our relationships and our earth, because that's unhealthy.
That's awful.
Like,
yeah. So the kids were
I'm
laughing.
sorry that happened. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I know your story, but I didn't even know that part.
Yeah, the teachers were like, nobody helped me. My 5-year-old little boy helped me up. And I looked at him when he's like, Mommy, I'll help you. I looked at him, I said, you will never have to help me off the floor ever again in life. And so that was my why. That was when I had to make a decision to care about my life, to do whatever it takes to get healthy. And part of that journey was me learning about how to use food as your medicine. Your food is your medicine, and your medicine is your food. Yeah. So using herbal medicine through medicinal herbs, through plants, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, cutting out meat, getting more rest, making sure that I manage my stress, because stress can lead to all kinds of illnesses, believe it or not. So
that's very, very true. Well, when I was diagnosed July 2022, I think I was outside of the NASCAR Museum Uptown Charlotte, and they called me. I was just about picking up my grandson, and they called me and they said, Miss Gerald, you know, I don't know if you got the results back yet, but we did find something. We want you to come in and meet with the nurse navigator. And I was just like, and they said, well, we'll explain everything. I know you probably saw your test. I said, I didn't see them, but I'm going to go take a look at them. She said, but we'll be able to explain, you know, the results and everything. And so I was just like, oh my God. I went and looked at it myself to see if I could figure out, you know, how to read the results. And, you know, I did see it, and I saw the measurements and all that stuff. And so I went and met with the nurse navigator, and she kind of explained the situation. It was just, I was just like, oh my gosh. Oh. Yeah, it was, I don't even know.
Yeah,
like when I
like it's like you freeze in time. Like,
yeah, exactly. That's what it was like. That's what it was like. Well, before I went to saw the nurse navigator, I'll just explain like how I felt. It was shocking because I'm the person in the family that would read labels. Like that's something that my first daughter said. She said, Mom, you the person, like when I was younger, that would go in Whole Food Market and read all the labels? And I'm like, yeah, I know. But I said, I just, it's unbelievable. And I just was in shock. And then the next day when I woke up, I said, okay, God, I get it. I see what you're doing here. Mm-hmm. You're trusting me with this experience. I know you're going to be with me on the other side of healed. And I'm just praying for you to give me the strength, for you to give me the joy, the peace, just surround me in love and just help me get through it so I don't fear anything, right? And after that, I just kept with that sentiment. I went to see the nurse navigator. And during that meeting, she just explained the law of the land. So I'm your go-to person. You're going to have an oncologist. You're going to have a breast surgeon. You're going to have a radiologist. You're going to have this. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is just a whole...
Overwhelming, a
whole team of just different specialists. And I was just like, okay. And the one thing I said to her was, all right, so this has happened. Do I need to change my eating? And she said, no, you look healthy. Just keep doing what you're doing. You'll be fine.
Oh my goodness.
Let's just get
Yeah.
through this, and then, whatever changes you think you need to make later, that's fine. But just keep doing what you're doing.
Wow.
And I was
Wow.
just like, that was my
Wow.
first red flag. That really made me nervous, because if you just gave me a diagnosis, why am I here? Like, why am I here? I obviously was doing something wrong, right? But their thing is just, oh, it just happens. We don't know why it happened. Like, I'm just like asking, like, what do you think happened? Do you think it's this and that? Well, we just don't know. We don't know why it happens. It could be a number of things.
Wow.
And so I was just like, oh my gosh, like, what am I gonna do? Because
Yeah.
they don't have any answers.
Yeah.
So I gotta have to figure out the answers for myself. And so I would fast from time to time. Like, I did the master cleanse, I did all types of stuff throughout the years. But so the one thing I knew to do was to fast and to meditate. That's the one thing I knew to do. So the first 3 days, I just did a straight water fast, because I wanted to just jump kick my system, send my body into autophagy so that my cells could start, my good cells would start eating my bad cells. And so I did that. Then I spoke to my holistic coach, which is Ken Newbill. His company is Newbill Health out of Charlotte, North Carolina. He put me on a protocol of raw fruits and vegetables. And so my goal was to just get on that protocol, the intermittent fasting with the raw fruits and vegetables. I was like, I'm gonna do it for 40 days and 40 nights. As Jesus fasted, I could fast for that long. That was my whole thing. I was really going on this spiritual journey of healing,
Yes.
right? And so that's what I did. Now, in the meantime, the doctors were calling me to schedule the portacath, to put it in there. The portacath is what they use to administer the chemo. They set the appointment up for that. They set the appointment up for the body bone density scan. They set the appointments up for to get the MRI, the CT scan, like all these appointments. So, and they were just trying to get me in like within a week, and so I called and I just canceled them. And they called me, the nurse navigator, and said, hey, we noticed your appointments were canceled. Is everything okay? What happened? And I said, oh yeah, everything is fine. But, I want to do a little bit more research just to see what I can do. Because, I mean, you really didn't have any answers. And I just feel, a little lost. I wasn't even expecting this to happen to me.
Yeah.
And I just need some time to just
process
it. I need time to figure out what I'm gonna do. And I said, I'm doing some fasting at home. I know that's good for the body. And there's some things I want to try at home. I said, are there any tests that I can take that could kind of let me know, like, if what I'm doing at home is working? And maybe if we could check in a couple of weeks or so. And she's like, no, it doesn't really work that way. I said, okay, well, I said, let me call and speak to the doctors, which I did. They said that no, there's no test. So when I contacted the nurse navigator again, she's like, you know what? Actually, you haven't done any of your testing yet, right? I said, no. She said, well, we do have your measurements from the biopsy. So we could take your measurements from your biopsy, and then once you do your MRI and your CT scan, then that will give us some other measurements, and that should let us know if what you were doing at home. I said, okay, awesome, great. I felt so good because I had a plan. I finally had a plan, right?
Yes.
And so I just canceled the appointment. They called me. They rescheduled my MRI. They rescheduled the CT scan. Let me know what day they rescheduled it
Oh,
to.
my goodness.
And I was just like, "You did what?" I said, "No, that's not going to work." They was like, "Yeah, well, we noticed you canceled. We just wanted to make sure we got you in and we rescheduled for you." I said, "Well, those days are not going to work for me because I'm doing something at home, and I will reschedule when it's time." And so they called back again. And they wanted to make sure that I got on the schedule. This was like maybe 2 days later after I told them what I was doing. And then they called back again.
And third time.
Third time. But finally, they stopped calling. I did reschedule. I think it was like maybe either 38 or 40 days. And when I did do the testing, the MRI, CT scan, all that stuff, it showed that the numbers went down some. It wasn't like a huge amount, but it looked like there was an improvement. And so I was just like, okay, this is working. You know, I was like happy. My friends, family was happy. It was like, yeah, it's working. And so when I spoke to the oncologist and the breast surgeon, they were like, oh, no, you can't go by that. Like, that's a totally different test. You can't really gauge the numbers and all. There's no way for you to know for sure that, you know, the biopsy had the accurate numbers, and it's just a different test.
Yeah, but no question about your nutrition or what you're doing, or what did you do to make it change or slightly?
Nothing. It just went in one ear out the other. It's like it didn't matter, actually. And so I just prayed about it, and I was like, there got to be something else I can do. There got to be some other options. So I looked online. I looked to see if there's any holistic doctors in Charlotte. Couldn't find anything. I checked around just all over the internet. Came across a company called Utopia Cancer Center, Alternative Cancer Center. And I reached out to them, spoke to them, and I just decided that that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And so I went there. I was there. They had a 6-week program. I went for 5 weeks. I ended up leaving there because it was an act of nature, like a big storm. I forgot the name of the storm that came through
back then.
It was in Tampa, Florida. It was 2023. It was around close to September, the end of August. Can't remember the name of that storm, but you guys look it up. You'll see the name of the storm. But I had to rush out of the hotel. I was staying in the hotel the whole time, and I used to walk to this cancer center in the mornings. And I'm going to share that journey with you guys as well. So you'll see the videos, what the treatment center looks like, and all the treatments that I did there. We'll definitely share that.
Okay.
Yeah. But they put a note on my hotel door and was like, you have to vacate. It was like 1 o'clock. They was like, you have to be out of here.
Oh my goodness.
I think it was like 7 or 8 p.m. You have to be out of the hotel.
As a result of the storm.
As a result of the storm, because I was near the coast and they were going to get hit pretty hard. So I was like, oh my God. I was just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I didn't have any family nearby. Like, I think the closest family was probably about 4 hours away in Miami area.
Oh my goodness.
And I was trying to figure out, am I going to get on the plane? I couldn't get on the plane. No planes were leaving out. I was trying to book hotels further out from where I was staying. They were already booked up.
Oh my goodness.
So I was just like, oh my gosh. I called a family member, and she's like, oh, I have a cousin that lives blah, 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 blah. So I ended connecting with them, spent the night there, and then the next morning I just decided, you know what? I'm renting a car, and I'm just going to take my time and drive back to Charlotte. And that's what I did. I drove all the way back. But before I got to Charlotte, I made a pit stop in Atlanta and hung out with my cousin for a few days. I think it was about 3 days. We had a good time. Didn't we, Monique? We had a great time. But hung out with her, and it was great. Got back to Charlotte, and when I got back to Charlotte, I was just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? First of all, the alternative care was just so expensive.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Was it really expensive?
Yeah, because the medical industry does not cover that type of care.
Which is another conversation.
That's definitely another
The
conversation.
insurance companies do not cover anything that's holistic.
Everything was out of pocket. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a real estate broker. A real estate broker, property stager. Like, I don't get a W-2. I don't get salary. I get paid when I work, right? So one of the things that I had to do was actually take money off of my life insurance. That is an option for some of you guys that might be going dealing with it. And I had money saved up from working, doing real estate. But anyway, fast forward, I'm in Charlotte. I go back to these doctors that said that the numbers didn't matter from the biopsy. And they do the breast exam and they're like, oh my gosh, I think it got bigger. And I'm like, it didn't get bigger. I said, there's definitely improvement because I'm the one that found the lump. I'm the one that found it. I know what it felt like initially. I said, there's definitely been some improvement.
And that's something that can you share, like what how you found the lump, like what were you doing? How did you know what to look for?
So ironically, right, I would say the year before, I think it was 2021 in February, I had a breast reduction. So the whole time, because I'm the type of person where I feel my breasts every day, massage, especially in the shower. If I'm in the shower, if I'm laying down, I'll just feel around. I know what my breasts feel like. I have fibrocystic breasts, so they're very dense, and what's it called? They're dense and they're kind of not mushy, but
Yeah, I've heard of them saying dense to breasts.
yeah, they're dense and they're just very lumpy. They're already lumpy. So, I know how they feel. And I felt the lump for a while, but I didn't do anything because I'm like, oh, it's probably scar tissue from the breast reduction. And so I was like, after a while, I was like, I got to go in because I just got to make sure that it is scar tissue. And then that's what happened. But I came back from, I know I just jumped all over the place, but when I came back and they were like, oh, it feels like it got bigger. And, I was just like, I kind of felt like I was going crazy. I felt like I was going crazy because I'm like, there's no way it got bigger. Not after everything that I've been doing out there. And so I said, I got to find I got to just do a second opinion. So I found a doctor that was in Mooresville. And on her website, her bio said that she was a breast surgeon. Her credentials were impeccable. And she said that her care, she really approaches her care from a holistic standpoint. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to go see her. And so I went to see her, and I kid you not, it was night and day from like her experience, the office environment, like the office environment that I went in. It was almost like just very cold, very
It's uninviting.
Yeah, uninviting, just very. I don't want to say negative, but just it was like no life there, right? And so when I got to the second opinion breast surgeon's office, I saw like her signage had scriptures on the wall. You could tell she was very spiritual and like she had a relationship with God for sure. And so I was just like, okay, I could feel this. I identify. And then when I went to speak to the receptionist, she was just like, oh, hi, how are you doing today? And you're Miss Gerald, right? And I'm like, yes. And just very, very inviting. And she's like, well, you know what? You're in great hands. You have nothing to worry about. We're going to get through this, like just down to the receptionist. Everybody that I spoke to, from the receptionist to her assistant that brought me in, everybody was just so positive and just like, you got this. We're good. Like, you have nothing to worry about. Like, so I felt so good. And then by the time she came in and saw me, we were talking. I shared with her my concerns. And I just said, look, if it were you, what would you do? And what do you think I should do at this stage? So she just said, hey, if I were you, I would just go ahead and have the chemo at this stage. And then when you're done with chemo, maybe go back to your holistic practices. So that's what I did. That's what I just started to, that's why I started the chemo. And the day that I started chemo, I got home, I got an email from that doctor, opened it up, I saw the results, because she actually did ultrasound in her office, as opposed to just give me a breast exam saying, hey, it got bigger. Yeah. She actually has an ultrasound in her office, and she did the ultrasound while I was there. When I saw the measurements, I was like, it went down.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh my God, it went down some.
And so the other doctor said it felt like it was bigger.
Yeah, she's like, oh, you just should have stayed and started chemo. I think
Oh,
it's
my goodness.
worse. And yeah, that's what they were saying to me when I went. Yep. And so I felt defeated, but I was just like, no. I was like, I have to take matters into my own hands, and I'm getting a second opinion, and that's what I did. But, you know, because I decided to go ahead with the chemo, and I still felt like I didn't have enough knowledge on the holistic side to really heal myself, I just said, let me just go ahead and do the chemo. I already made the decision, and I'll just follow it through, and I did that. I want to say by the second treatment, they couldn't even feel anything. It was gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I did try to get them to update my records because they put that it got bigger in my records, and I was like, it did not. I said, you're going by touch, and I'm sure these doctors see at least, they got to see at least 8 patients a day, at least, right?
Yeah.
How can you differentiate what, if it got bigger or not, when you haven't even seen me in like 2 months? And you're saying, oh no, it got bigger by touch.
I
It
wonder
just
if they get kickbacks from that, like promoting chemo and mammograms.
Oh no, they
'cause that's
absolutely
something that I definitely want you to talk about.
they absolutely do. I did learn that a few months ago that for each chemo treatment, they get 5,000 plus for
Wow.
each.
So
Yeah.
that's a conflict of interest right there.
Right. So, and I'm just learning that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went through the chemo, and when I tell you guys, like, the Most High was with me the whole time, because there was times where I would wake up literally just like so happy and just laughing, just so full of joy. I was like, now I know what the Bible means when it says the joy of the Lord is my strength.
Yeah.
Because I was so happy, mostly because I was terrified to do the chemo, and to wake up and not have no side effects. I was just like, look at God. Look at God.
Yes.
I was just like bouncing off the walls. I was jogging. I was working out, lifting weights.
The whole time.
Everybody
chemo.
could not believe that I was doing chemo. Nobody could believe it. And to be honest with you too, I did this treatment where I was trying to protect my hair. I love my curly hair, and I was just like, hey, if I lose my curls, I'm gonna be mad. So I did this thing where you put this cold cap on. It's supposed to, like, once the chemo goes into your system, as long as your follicles are like cold and closed, then it kind of helps trying to protect your hair. So that's the whole premise behind it. But so I did that, but it was a lot. I mean, the cold cap was a lot.
A lot cost-wise, or just the time and energy to put into it?
The time and the energy, it was a little costly too. It was a little costly. Not too bad, but it was a little costly. And a lot of times when people are going through this, people don't have all this extra money, you know what I'm saying, set aside. But thank God I did have a savings, and I was able to pay for it. And I think they have some programs too, like charity programs that will actually help you pay for it. So
Good, yeah.
that's stuff that you can look into if you're going through it. But I noticed that my hair was not falling. It wasn't like falling out, but like I would wake up and I would see like hair sheds and stuff like that. And I think I had to have that cap on for hours and hours, like hours. I think it was an hour before I started chemo. Then I go through the whole chemo, all those hours of chemo. Then I get home and I still had to have it on. And I think it wore me down. I think it wore me down. And I was just looking at my hair, little pieces of hair, when I woke up on the pillow, and I was just like, I'm just gonna shave it off. I ain't even gonna wait for. Let me just go ahead. So I did shave it off. Although it wasn't like falling out, I was just like, I just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And I love heat, and so to have all this
That cold on you all day.
And you know what? The first 4 treatments, which was the harshest treatments, I had 16 weeks of, or I would say 16 I forget what they call them.
Like the chemo sessions?
Yeah, there's a specific name that they call them, but 16 doses, let's just say doses. I had 16 doses, and the first 4 was they gave me the harshest chemo that you could have, right? Then they moved to the next chemo. I think it was losartan, not losartan, but anyway, I'll give you guys the names of it once I upload my cancer journey. But that was like a lower dose, but with the lower dose, I had to stick my hands and my feet in ice so that I wouldn't get. It's supposed to help you not get neuropathy. Mm-hmm. So imagine your hands, your feet, and your head.
And your head in ice.
I was just like,
I'm done.
No.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and I can see if I like cold, but no, I love heat. So that's what made me shave my hair. Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to stop the chemo, but they were like, oh no, you should keep going. Just keep going. We know it's gone. We don't feel it or whatever. Just keep going. So I followed it through. By the time I got to the last treatment, and I kicked the bell. I did not ring it. I rang it, but I also kicked the bell.
Yeah.
I said, okay, what am I going to do? Because they want me to do radiation now. Now it's like, okay,
After 16 rounds of chemo?
Yes. After 16 rounds of chemo, they wanted me to do radiation. And I said, okay, let's get through the surgery, right? Let's get through the surgery. I said, I still want to do research, see what the potential side effects with the radiation, all this stuff is going to be. They said out of the 100% of cancer that I had maybe about 10% left. It wasn't showing active. Mm-hmm. And when I did my biopsy, they put these metal markers where the tumor was. And I told them, when we have surgery, please remove them. I already know that my body does not agree with metal. Mm-hmm. And so she said, oh yeah, we're going to remove them, but we're going to put some new ones in. And I'm like, new ones for what?
Right.
Why do you need to put new ones in? She said, oh, that'll just help us to know, like, if it does come back, if it came back in the same place. And I'm like, well, why do you need to know if it's going to come back in the same place? And I said, if it comes back, you're going to see it anyway again, right? So
that's what I would think.
Yeah. And she said, well, it'll also help us know exactly where to aim the radiation when you go to get your radiation. And so I was like, this is not making any sense to me. I said, because you told me that when I go to get radiation, all this right side will get the radiation. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be pinpoint to one location.
Right.
So it just wasn't making any sense to me. And I was just like, no, I said, I don't even know if I'm going to get radiation. So just do not put them back in. I don't want them in my body. It's foreign to my body. Just keep them out. Mm-hmm. And so she said, okay, well, that's not what we normally do. I said, that's fine. It doesn't matter if that's what you normally do or not. Right. You're just not going to do that with me. Mm-hmm. Because the whole time I was going through this journey, I just said, if something sounds like it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to agree to it.
Right.
And I already know how metal does with my body. I had an implant. I had a very bad reaction with the implant. Mm-hmm. Like, I had a headache for a while.
Oh my goodness.
And like something was going on with my nose to like where it was like really swollen. And I was just like, I'm not doing the metal thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it's foreign to our body anyway.
It's not natural.
It's not natural. So I was just like, I just knew, no, we're not doing that. But okay, so fast forward, I have the surgery. They tried to get me to put back the metals again. The doctor that did the surgery, I said, no, absolutely not. And then they sent tissue out, the tissue that they removed to test, to just see if everything was removed. Mm-hmm. They called me back and said, hey, there's still a little bit left. We didn't go all the way to the edge because it didn't look like anything was there, but there was still a little bit there. So I said, okay, that's fine. So they brought me back in about, 2 weeks later. It was just like a 20-minute outpatient surgery. Even the first one was like, it wasn't, I didn't have a hospital stay or anything like that.
Was it really painful, recovery?
No, not at all. Not at all. After that, I did the follow-up 6 weeks later, and the oncologist was like, hey, we really still think you should do the radiation, because they wanted me to go straight to radiation, I think within 3 weeks after surgery, 3 or 4 weeks after surgery. And I was just like, no, I just feel like it's too much for my body. I still want to do the research. I want to see if there's anything else I can do, holistically, like just go back to what I was doing in the beginning for the 4 months. And she said, okay, well, we're going to suggest that you take these 2 medications. We want you to come back and get shots every 6 months just to make sure, so that we could just keep it away. And I was just like, write down the shots, write down the medication, write everything down, because I am going to do my research. And if the research says that it could lead to death, I'm not taking it, because I'd rather take my chances and just do what I was doing in the beginning, since that seemed to be working and nobody really wanted to say that it was. But, I just go back to what I was doing, right? And so she said, well, if you don't do this, if it comes back, I'm not going to be able to help you. And I'm just like, okay. And I just said, well, okay, I understand. And so I left that office, and I'm just like, just thinking about her, just like, I'm not going to be able to help you. And if I didn't know any better, I probably would have been really down in the dumps,
Yeah.
if I didn't know better.
It's almost like she was trying to make you feel bad for not wanting to get the drug. Or the radiation.
And just the way she said it.
Yeah, just more like, okay, well, that's on you. I won't help you. It wasn't a good tone.
It
It wasn't a good tone.
It wasn't. And her and I, we went back and forth the whole time during my treatment. But that just made me say, okay, let me go ahead, do the detox. So fast forward, I went to see Dr. Yahki. That was last June. It's about a year now. Which I'm trying to get back in there so I can do a follow-up.
So Yahki, if you're listening to this, please contact her.
Please. Because Brother Nabi was like, yeah, tell her to come back. We're going to hook her up. We're going to, no charge. Remember, he said no charge. But anyway, I've been trying to get in touch with you guys. I'm going to reach out. But yes, I went to see Dr. Yahki. It was such a wonderful experience. Wonderful.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he is amazing. And just shouts out to you, Dr. Yahki, like for everything that you are doing, that you've done, that you're continuing to do. Hats off to you. Kudos. And
flowers.
We're so glad that you're here, and we're so glad that you care so much for your people and for your community.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't take it lightly. So he put me on a geogenetic level 2, and they actually sent me home with more than I was supposed to get. I ended up finishing it in like 16 weeks. Something that was supposed to be, I think, a 12-week ended up being 16 weeks. And then after I finished that, I finished like around, I would say, October-ish, November-ish. That was 2023. Or was that 2024? Yeah, 2024, actually. 2024. And then January, when I left and went to Ghana, I went to see a holistic doctor there named Dr. Biney, and he put me on a 30-day. And at Dr. Yahki, he did a live blood analysis, which was just amazing. I got to see in real time that I saw parasites in my blood. He showed me where the chemo was left back in my blood.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he was telling me that I had cholesterol crystals, and he was showing me those, and he was like, "We got to hurry up and get that out before your bones and stuff start hurting." You were telling me that your bones was hurting earlier. I wonder if you have cholesterol crystals.
I can have them check. I can have Dr. Shelton check that.
Yeah, when he said that, I was like, my bones and my joints are already hurting. That's pretty much why I came. So he's like, oh yeah, we got to get that out of there. And so it was just, it was enlightening, like being able to see what was going on in your blood in live time. Like, I'm gonna do an upload of that video too. You guys have to see that. Everybody should have that experience.
They should, yeah. That's amazing.
And he did an iridology reading, so he read my eyes just to see what's going on inside my body internally. And he did tell me he sees the red lines in my eyes were stress lines from like my blood pressure being high.
Oh, wow.
He saw some liver spillage, like just saying
Wow,
that.
all from the eyes, y'all. All from the eyes.
All from my eyes. And so all of that cleanse that he put me on had dealt with the high blood pressure, the liver, detoxing the liver, the adrenals. Like it was just like a full body detox.
Yes.
Dr. Biney, he did the same thing, iridology reading. And he told me, he was just like, you are very strong. You got some strong genes and you have to be careful what you're putting in your body, because you could have so much going on and not even feel it, not even know it. And I mean, he was right, because I didn't feel the any reaction
the way
to the
you
chemo.
handled the chemo. I mean, you were exercising, running, everything.
Yeah.
During chemo.
And doing it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so he put me on a detox, and he just said, hey, we just have to really get your gut cleaned out. We got to get it cleaned out. He said I was eating too many, I love nuts, but he was like, you got to slow down. Yeah, he's like, yeah, a handful of nuts is all you're supposed to eat at one setting, and you shouldn't even eat it that often.
Is it because of the fat content
That
he was saying, or for him, or because of like the other just not being able to be properly digested?
Yes, I think that's part of what that is, as far as like the digestion. And he put me back on a 3-week detox, which ended up being 4 weeks. And I did sauna, or an herbal saunas while I was there. I did colon therapy while I was there. I was used to it, because when I went away to Tampa and did the alternative treatment, I did it there. But Love was like,
she was like,
oh my gosh. But she's like, I felt so good afterwards.
Yeah.
She said my stomach was down. I didn't feel bloated.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing, like, how long our intestines, like, how long it is.
It's very long.
And that's why it's really, really not a good thing to eat meat, especially not a lot of it.
Yeah, I was going to say that
because it has to travel so far, and then when your body doesn't, it's foreign to the body where it doesn't even really break it down, and then the hydrochloric acid in our stomach is not even hot enough to break it down. So yeah, I just learned a lot.
Yeah,
I still eat my meat, guys. But I will say it's probably like 2 to 4 times a month, maybe. Not, whereas I used to eat it like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like 2 to 3 times a day. So I have made a major, significant change, and I don't really miss it. But when I miss it or I have a taste for it, I just, I'll eat it. I make sure it's like a high quality meat.
Yeah.
And so that's everything that I've done. That's how far I've come. Now I just go in and out of raw fruits, raw vegetables. I have some cooked food. I would say maybe 60% is uncooked, because I eat a lot of salads, I do a lot of juicing, and I do smoothies. And then the rest would be like, a cooked meal. So like, especially like with the sweet potatoes, when those type of things are actually more nutrient dense when you cook them, when you bake them.
Yeah, sweet potatoes are loaded with vitamins and minerals.
I love sweet potatoes.
They are so good for you.
Very good for your high blood pressure, all of that. Like,
yeah, they are.
Look it up, do the research, and just see what all the health benefits. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed of the health benefits of a lot of these fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. I mean, the antioxidants alone can help your body fight off free radicals, which can lead to cancer cells.
Right.
Well, we all have those cells, but to lead to cancer cell growth.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that is the end of this episode of Healing Huddles. And if you want to continue on this journey with us, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment. We have so much more to come.
Absolutely.
There's so many topics we're going to cover, just from like how do you get to start like purging and learning to love yourself.
Yes.
Because we really have to start with ourselves first. Then we can go on to building a relationship. Then we can go on to like having a family. And then that would be a healthy family. And that healthy family will go out into the world, our earth, and create a beautiful world. And that's what Healing Home Movement is all about. Any last words?
Stay tuned, everyone. We have so much more to tell you. And we will be going live every week at 9 o'clock. So stay tuned. Stay aware.
Well, I don't know if we're going to be going live.
Well, we'll be dropping a video
we'll
every
be
week.
dropping a video. We might come on live sometimes, but
we'll be dropping a video. You will see us one way or another. You will see us every Sunday at 9. So just stay tuned, stay aware, stay positive, stay conscious, and always stay open to learning and growing and becoming a better version of yourselves.
That's right. Peace, light, love, and healing.
Healing Huddles with Dez and Meisha.